was abandoned by my father right from the get-go. I have no memories of my father ever being at my home. Never woke up one morning and Dad was there running into the bedroom, "Hey, Mom and Dad." Didn't exist. He was around a little bit, off and on, until the age of 2, maybe once or twice after that. And I was unimportant. There was more important things going on, and he was distracted by his life. So the earliest memories of my father, there were 2 of them specifically. One was I was hiding under a coffee table, and my mother had just been punched in the face by my father, and her face is red and swollen, and she's on the ground, and she's sobbing, she's crying. And my mom's a real fighter. She's a wonderful woman, but at that point, as a young, maybe 21, 22-year-old, she was pretty beaten down. And my dad was gone. The next memory I have of him after that was sitting in a rocking chair in that same house, and he was there, and I remember he had a beer in his hand, and he was saying something very stern to me, and I don't remember the words, but that's it. And then he's gone. And in my young life, he would come around once in a while, but he and my mother divorced probably by the time I was age 2, but he was never there. So however long it takes to get the paperwork done was it. And I love my father, and I have a good relationship with him today, but there's a journey that he's never heard that I believe that would break his heart if he knew that the choices he made as a young man, how they've affected me in my life. And in many ways very negatively, that I didn't admit. And so knowing that my dad was violent, hit my mother, I remember that day, and my sister going outside and getting snow and putting in a cup for my mom to put on her face after my dad is gone. In retrospect, 0 trust for a man and men in my life. 0 trust, can't be trusted, and non-existent. So in as much as I was unimportant to him, he was unimportant to me. As I got older, the way my abandonment began to manifest itself was, well, my mother remarried, and God begins to provide for me a father. And of course, I reject him. So it's coming full circle for me. I'm old enough now to have already made up my mind. I've seen a lot of hurts, myself being hurt by men, watching my mother be hurt. I think I was fortunate, however, in that my stepfather had a lot of grace for me, and that he had become a Christian right when he and my mother got together. And so he was discovering how to love and care in ways that would be impossible. So I began to deal with these things as a young man, and began to admit a lot of the things that had been missing in my life, mostly when I became a father and dealing with my children, my daughters and my son, and being there for them, being present for them, and being in pursuit of them revealed to me, like when I became a Christian, I was very aware that God was in pursuit of me. And it caught me off guard when I became a Christian, but how much more meaningful it was when I became a father, that I could actually admit and vocalize. And I remember having a conversation with my wife and just bawling my eyes out, admitting that I was abandoned. I really didn't admit it because it didn't matter. He didn't exist to me, I didn't exist to him on a certain level. And my wife looked at me and she says, "Oh yeah, you've always had these issues. I've been waiting for you to admit it and deal with it." And having those moments with my son, and jumping in bed with him and telling him stories, and him asking me, "Dad," every night he asked me, "Dad, will you tell me a story?" I never once could have even imagined that that was an option. Growing up, didn't even know it was an option. And now to have that and see the relationship that is there is, it's like a revelation to me about God. and how present he is and how real he is. So yeah, I think I've really dealt with my abandonment issues as of late, beginning when I was 35. So, yeah. Then the Lord knew that there was deep hurts in me and that I was going to be a hard case to break. And he began to bring men into my life that have become heroes in my adult life as fathers, and watching them raise their kids. And even now, my father, my birth father, is beginning to try and have a relationship with the Lord. And I have a message on my phone that I've saved for 2 years. He called me one night, and he's watching an eclipse of the moon. And he leaves me this message. He goes, "Hey, I'm just wondering if you're outside looking at this moon right now." And he goes, "Isn't it amazing how God does all this?" And he loves us. And he's expressing this relationship that he has with God. And he's having this moment with God. And his thought is, call my son. That's money.